Good morning, everyone. How are you all this morning? I hope you're great. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, and we're ready to get started. Good morning, everyone. So nice to see you all again. Thank you so much for coming back. This has been week 16 and of Challenge Me More in 24. And last year I did a 1,000 pound challenge, and this year I'm trying to do a 2,000 pound challenge where I take 2,000 pounds, 1 pound at a time. A lot of times it's just a couple ounces at a time, whether it's eggshells, ground, or whatever I'm adding. And I have a whole list of things that I save, and those are, like coffee grounds and eggshells and shrimp shells, my leaves, my grass clippings. I've started adding things like the flowers. If I'm adding it to my compost or adding it to my worms, then it gets counted. Things that don't get counted, I don't know if you can see that, but there's some cans of vegetables, and they have liquid in them. And I save those liquids and feed those back to my garden because they have sugars, and sugars are really good for your blooming plants. So anything like when we're vacuuming, we now add our vacuum contents either to the worm bin or outside to the flowers or compost pile, something like that. Of course, shredded paper, shredded newspaper, shredded cardboard, your toilet rolls, paper towel rolls, things like that, egg cartons, um, any of your cereal boxes, at least in the United States, come with a plastic liner. And by the way, these plastic liners are great because remember, they seal in the freshness. Well, you can use that again. If you're, you have something that you don't want to go out in the trash today because maybe your pickup is in 4 or 5 days, put it in that. Put a little clothespin, a little, and it'll keep it in your freezer. Some people, whenever they finish with their cereal, there's some, little bit of crumbs at the bottom. Feed that to your worms. They will love it. If you have anything stale and you're not going to use it elsewhere, personally, I don't have that situation because, one, if I were going to give it to the worms, it would really have to be stale. But for the most part, we have soup, or we make toast, or we make croutons or something like that. If you ever have, like I live in an area, I'm in zone 9B in Central Florida, and we keep everything try and keep it in plastic because you have bugs, and the bugs always want to come in. And it's not like you're opening the doors and saying, "Come on in, bugs." They come up through the cracks, they come in through your anything in your house, they can come up through your pipes. So we try to make sure that if you don't have something for them, bugs aren't going to be drawn into it. So if you keep things in plastic containers, it makes it just a little bit easier to keep a separation. But occasionally they will come in from the grocery store that way, and you can see it, like they'll get into the paper bags if you're having paper bags. It just happens, but if you open a container and say that's flour, but if you open a container and you smell it, and you can smell that it isn't fresh, do you know what I mean? Where you can smell where you go, that doesn't smell right. That's just stale, I think is the word I want to say. And instead of throwing it away, feed it to your worms, feed it to the compost. You can add it to some soil so that the biota, the microbes, bacteria in the soil will have something to eat. And they will. And it will add that biodiversity to your soil and enrich it so that the soil grows, the plants that you're growing become more nutrient dense, even if they're flowers or maybe it isn't something you're eating, but it'll make for healthier plants. Some of the other things I do, if I'm soaking my rice in water, I'll save that water. A couple things that it's good for. One, it has vitamins in it. Now it has vitamin B in it, and it also has some sugars in it. It would be good for your plants, but it's also good for yourself. If you want to take it and use it as a spray bottle, it's good for your skin. If you want to put it on your hair, you're rinsing your hair with it. You're rinsing it with a vitamin liquid. As far as some of the things that you can soak, those are banana peels, and you can soak those for 24 hours and give the water to your flower loving, for your blooms, things that you want to add some potassium to. Now, I don't have that much go bad, but occasionally, for me, celery is I love it or hate it, and I will use it, and it gets forgotten. And that, for some reason or other, got forgotten in the back of the refrigerator. So I have some celery left. It will either get soaked and that water will get used, or I will chop it up and feed it to my worms. I happen to be trying to chit potatoes. I know that sounds like a dirty word, doesn't it? But it's C-H-I-T. And these are little red potatoes that were bought for St. Patrick's Day, which was just 5 weeks ago. And I've put them in this container in hopes that they will start to sprout. The little eyes will start to sprout. And what you do is you find the kind of bottom end of the potato where it looks like, well, that must have been where the root was. And you're going to put that down so that the little eyes are in the up position. This one seems like it's just starting. And I'm going to let them go another few weeks. I don't know if potatoes from the grocery store are sprayed so that it discourages them chitting, having eyes, because most of the time you go through and you see that eye and you go, well, I don't want that, and you'll cut it out, so it's wasted. So anyway, that's a little project I have going in. I'm so glad my neighbor gave me her little egg cartons. So anyway, I think I've covered it all. Yep. My fruit and vegetable peels. Things that you don't think that you can give to your worms. Some people, when I started almost 15 years ago, I was told you don't give them orange peels, you don't give them any citrus peels, and you don't give them any onion peels or anything like that. That's kind of a falsehood. I have learned it over the last few years from other worm people, and it is that you can give them those things in small amounts if you have a small bin. And I have 6 of them, but I have them from small to large. Northeast Gaetano, the worm guy, he's Northeast Worms up in New York, and he has these huge bins because he's commercial. And he said, oh, I wanted to show this, and he had a huge bag, I don't know, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, oranges. And he just took it and, moved them all back and everything. And he threw those oranges in, complete. Didn't break anything up, and then covered them over with, packing with paper or whatever he covered it over with. It went back months later and they were completely gone and there were worms, you know, it was like a massive worm ball. And so it kind of proves it wrong. Had he done that, opened it up and it had been all dead worms, well then you'd go, oh my goodness, you can't do that. Ann over at Plant Obsessed always likes doing these experiments where she's fed them citrus, where she's fed them onions. Doesn't have a problem with it. I think as long as you give the worms an alternative place to be, you can try these different things with success. So all that said, hopefully this wasn't too long for you. Thank you for showing up. I didn't mark myself down, but this is week 16, and I had 12 pounds 4 ounces, and it brought me for week 16 to a total of 450 pounds 10.2 ounces. So way behind here. You know, I mean, I should have had 500 pounds for the first quarter, which would have been the end of March, and I'm way behind. But hopefully we'll catch up during the summer. I think that's probably pretty much it. We think of different things as we go along, and I grow as I go along. You know, things I used to go, oh, that's just a little piece of cardboard. Oh, that's just a little paper. They now all go for being chipper shredded or just shredded through my paper, or just laid for the worms. And I have more and more compost going. I used to have just a small little area of my yard. Now I have my GeoBin Senior, the big one that I call Senior. He's just regular. And then I have Junior, which they call the Mini. And Yardfully is the company, and I have a playlist for that that's called GeoBin, if you're at all interested. It's a great, I got the first one I got last October, and then Rick gave me Junior for Christmas, and I started it New Year's Day, and I have had for the last almost 4 months now. I've had so much fun with Junior. I just keep adding stuff to it. I've done experiments with it, and it looks nice in the garden. I mean, it doesn't look trashy. I don't want to say that, but I see people with the 3-unit, and it's all made out of wood, and it looks very nice, and that's cool. But I mean, that's a big sucker. The compost, the GeoBin, is really just about 4 feet across, and you can make it in a circle, and it kind of fits in. I have flowers all growing around it, and I think that looks cool. So anyway, that wasn't my intention to get sidetracked, but I am trying to challenge myself more this year in seeing what I can do. Tomorrow is the 55th Earth Day. Started in 1970, and this is 2024. So 54 years. It will be the 55th Earth Day, and I'm planning a little Earth Day celebration. So I hope you'll come back and see what I have up my sleeve, and I hope everybody has a great day. I really do. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. We're already starting to get just a little warm here, and it was 70 degrees at 4 a.m. this morning, and I think it's supposed to go up to close to 90, and our humidity is in the 76, 77%. So it's starting to get just a little sticky, and so I need to get all of my ducks in a row and get all my plants in order. And by the way, if you have any access to magnolias, this is in Florida, this is our time, April and May, to go and find them, cut them, and bring them in. It is wonderful. Anyway, garden what you've got. I hope you all have a great day, and I hope you'll come back and see me tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.